Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to have a little look at Infinite Crisis. Early look is what this is, very much so, because this is in closed beta and they're not intending to release this really until the end of the year. The mode that I'll be looking at here in this Alpha Strike episode is limited, to say the least, as is the selection of heroes. So this is just to get this game on your radar, to have a look what it currently offers, and also to analyze what it's going to need to offer if it wishes to compete in a very, very tight space. That tight space, of course, being the Dota genre, which is chock full and getting even fuller. So what is it? Well, it is a Dota-style game featuring DC superheroes by Turbine. Turbine is the developer of Dungeons & Dragons Online, as well as, of course, Asheron's Call back in the day. Lord of the Rings Online too. They're pretty good at what they do. Kind of their first foray into more of a Dota-style action game. The current mode on offer in Infinite Crisis is a 5-on-5 Dominion style, that being ticket drain. So you try and take the points. There are 5 points on the map. The more points you own, the quicker the opponent's power core degenerates, so they basically lose tickets. Once their tickets reach 0, that is it. So very similar to the Dominion mode. If you're not familiar with League of Legends, and think about Arathi Basin within World of Warcraft, or indeed just some of the general conquest systems in stuff like, say, Battlefield. That should give you an indicator of how it actually works. So this will be a free-to-play game. Let's have a look at the store and see what's currently on offer. There is a limited selection of around 13 heroes available right now. They intend to add an awful lot more of them. Interestingly enough, they're calling them champions, which is a very strange thing indeed. Although, I suppose you can't really call them heroes if half of them are villains, so alright, fair enough. Certainly can't call them mutants either, because one, this isn't Marvel, and two, they ain't correct. So what's available in the champion shop? Well, if we look through the list of all of the current champions, you'll notice reasonable selection. There are 2 versions of Batman, and yet neither of them are the regular version of Batman, which is very strange. You can get the regular Joker, you can also get Gaslight Joker. The point of Infinite Crisis is that it's supposed to be a bunch of different dimensions that are kind of being mashed together, which means there are multiple versions of existing heroes. Nightmare Batman and Gaslight Batman are 2 completely different heroes with completely different ability sets. Same with Joker and Gaslight Joker. They're both very different in what they do. Joker has barely any health whatsoever. Gaslight Joker, on the other hand, much more of a brawler. So that's the current selection available there. There isn't really anything else you can buy aside from different costumes, as you might imagine. It's the way they're monetizing an awful lot of it. Lots of different styles. And that really is about it, actually, in terms of what you can buy. If you go to the profile page, you'll notice stuff like stolen powers, amplifiers, and things like that. I don't know what amplifiers are. They could just be boosters for experience, but XP in this game only just gets you access to more of the silver currency right here every time you level up. So it's actually very similar to the way Smite was back in its early beta days. The way Smite actually still is in terms of its progression. Alright, so let's get into the game and show you exactly what's going on with it. There's currently 1 map available, that being Gotham Heights. Supposedly there will be an awful lot more, and they're supposed to be designed around various kind of recognizable locales. I mean, the capture points are stuff like Wayne Tower and things like that. They don't really make any actual real difference. They're just in there purely for thematic reasons. The mode itself, it only really has 1 or 2 things that you'll find which are different to other Dota-style games. One of which being there's a 6th point in the center of the map around here that can be unlocked at a certain point during the game. Once that happens, if you capture it, it will fire off an orbital cannon. From what I can tell, the orbital cannons will reduce the amount of tickets that the opponent's team actually has. Once it gets up to Massive Shot, which is like the 4th, the person that captures that basically wins the game for their team. So it's more of a... Oh, come on, we're not going to get the 10th person, are we? Always the way. 9 out of 10. Every single Dota game, regardless. Anyway, yeah, as far as I can tell, that's a sudden death mode because it will kill the other team outright. So that's a pretty neat way of doing things. It does very much limit the length of the game. Alright, let's see what we have available. Let's see what these guys actually lock into. This is Nightmare Batman, by the way. Gaslight Batman's pretty good. He's fairly popular. Though what I found in this game is a lot of the sort of blaster characters, like, say, Green Lantern, they have barely any health whatsoever. Joker, in particular, dies in about 2 hits. It's actually kind of silly. Cyborg's pretty good. I might go with him. He's actually surprisingly durable, considering he's a ranged guy. What can he do? We can have a look, or we could just go with Gaslight Batman, who seems to be pretty good. He's a hybrid damage champion. Ranged marksman. What can he do? Well, each of the heroes has a passive, as you might imagine. League of Legends style, and 4 active abilities. So, more like LoL than it is like Dota here. Interestingly enough, you can level up the passive as well, which is a little bit odd. Not the kind of thing that you would generally expect, but that's what's in this particular title. So, in that case, basic attack supply echoes effect. They're revealed, and they lose 5 attack armor and take additional damage from Sonic Batarang, Bat Scream. Sonic Batarang, skill shot, 55 attack damage, and a bounce. At least it might be a skill shot. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Sonic Shell, okay. Explodes when it meets the maximum range or when the skill is triggered again. Applies echoes, and then Bat Flight. And then Bat Scream is your ultimate. Okay. Fairly easy to understand, really. We seem to have a pretty balanced team. Wonder Woman's a really good tank, so I'm sure we'll be absolutely fine. Okay. Let's rock and roll, shall we? Nice little tips here, of course. Not remotely true in any capacity, but hey. Might as well try before the community goes to hell, right? Their team has a reasonable amount of range damage. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Joker, Cyborg, and the Green Lantern. That could be dangerous. And then 1 Bruiser, and then 1 Tank. We'll be alright. Okay, so, let's rock and roll. So you got about a minute at the start of the game in order to get your items, very similar to Dominion, who started level 3. I'm going to take all the recommendeds because I don't know any builds for this game yet. That's level 2 Sonic Batarang, which is in fact a skill shot, as you can see. And then you have Sonic Shell, which is also a skill shot, and you can detonate that. I'm going to take some items. Now, items-wise, it's fairly hard to kind of find out what you're supposed to be buying, but there is an auto-buy system, so you can just buy the recommendeds. They've divided them down into power, attack, and health, which does make things a little bit easier. From what I can tell, there don't appear to be any activatable items in the game of any description. None. If there are, I've never seen them. So, as it stands, what you've got is a selection of items that can be bought and then upgraded. There are no recipes in the game. It's very much Smite style in the sense that you are able to buy an item then upgrade it several times. This does make it a lot easier to learn the items and make it more obvious as to which items you should actually be getting. What it doesn't, of course, allow is the usual interesting depth of building items from different items and recipes and deconstructing items in order to build better items and so on and so forth. That's the Dota style of stuff. This is a very simplified League of Legends style. Now, one of the problems I've currently got with the beta version, bearing in mind, of course, this is very early and nothing on this show is representative of the final product necessarily, is simply the fact that the actual game has some fairly severe lag going on with it. Like, there's input lag for whatever reason, which means that your response time is actually quite low. I'm hoping that they will be able to nail that down. But right now, I mean, you can notice the click and then the time kind of it takes to respond. It's not ideal, yeah? You see what I'm talking about here? Yeah, I mean, I'm clicking a lot here, as I usually do in pretty much any game like this to get more precise control, and my hero's not really turning at the right pace, which is unfortunate. This is probably the most important thing I'd say they need to actually sort out, because if they don't have that sorted, then it's going to be a pretty serious problem for them later on. Alright, I can come from behind here, but without support, there's no real point. Let's see if they can actually get in range. Alright, okay, they've been pulled out. Very nice, very nice. Okay, this was a mistake. There we go. Fire off, detonate. Very low on health. I'm going to grab some more. Now, the game also has the kind of things that you would expect from League of Legends, that being this kind of invisibility zones you can stand in, which will allow you to go invisible, as you might imagine. Oh, balls. Yep, this was a bad idea. Thankfully, the escape on this hero is very, very good, which is probably why he's one of the more popular heroes. A fairly short cooldown, easy escape that actually does damage through that. That's one down. Good, good, good. Ooh, I almost lost one there. Thankfully not. I'll go grab this point, I think. That was not a good idea. That was actually a terrible idea. I should have detonated that. What's the best way to describe this? pretty much everything that this game's got is almost a carbon copy of League. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Not really, because, I mean, this is a very cloney kind of genre, isn't it? It is a very iterative genre, but it's currently so close to League of Legends that it really makes me scratch my head a little bit and says, well, hang on a minute. Is this game trying to rely purely on the license and not really doing anything of its own? Because currently the answer is yes, in its current form. Obviously, that's something that could very easily be changed later on, but something like, say, Smite, you could say, alright, well, this deviates significantly from League, even in its early stages, because of its third-person mechanics. But here, pretty much everything that you might imagine is very similar to League, down to the fact that so-called stolen powers, i.e. summoners, exist. These can be customized before the game, they give you a couple of different abilities here and there. You know, they're just like summoners. Just like summoners. And all of this stuff that I'm seeing here, like the speed boosts and the little health packs, just like League of Legends Dominion. Really, really similar. Incredibly similar. Alright. There you go, you can have some of that. Nice. There we go. It's Doomsday out of the way. There are some very minor differences, like the idea that when you kill something, it will actually drop credits, and as a result, you can grab them. You do get a bonus from last hitting. As you'll notice, I can't pick these up because they don't really... I guess they don't belong to me or whatever. Well, that's him rage quit now. Never mind. Not ideal. But, you know, these are very, very minor things. Very, very minor things indeed. Now, I think, honestly, if this game does want to succeed, it can't merely do so... What the hell did he come from? It can't merely do so on the strength of the license. That simply is not enough. It needs to do something differently. The question, I suppose, then becomes... What? What does it have to do differently? What can it do differently? Already what I'm seeing from the formula is that the formula is so kind of set in stone that there's not really going to be an awful lot that it can do to differentiate itself. But I think that it has to, because otherwise it's going to be mixed in with a sea of these Dota-style games that are coming out over the next few years, and its only strength is going to be the DC license. The game's like middle of the road in pretty much every way. I don't find anything specific to complain about aside from the obvious lag issues and the fact that there seem to be balance problems associated with some of the blaster characters and just how quickly they die. Compared to the durability of stuff like the brawlers or the actual tank classes, the so-called enforcers, there's a world of difference. Massive difference. Way more than you might expect. That did not go as well as I'd hoped. Ah, I'm sitting under a turret. Time to die horribly. Save me! Thank you. Thank you very much. The mechanics are solid, but they're solid because they were lifted from existing titles. Now, everything that this genre is associated with, of course, was lifted from other places. And that's just a fact. The fact of the matter is, the whole genre was based on Aeon of Strife, and then Defense of the Ancients was based on that, and then everything that came on after that was based on Defense of the Ancients. So there's not a huge amount you can do, but already we've seen various games try to innovate. Awesome Naughts, Smite, Super Monday Night Combat, Panzer, those are examples. Even Dawngate, which is coming out from EA, might look like League of Legends, but it actually does innovate in some ways in just the way that the map is designed. Now, in this game, the only things which... Oh, this is not going to go well. Yeah, I'm already dead. Unquestionably dead. Came out of nowhere. In this game, the only thing that really innovates in terms of the map is the whole 6th point idea, and quite frankly, I don't think that that's enough. I really don't. I don't think that's enough to differentiate it. The heroes are reasonably fun to play, but they remind me far too much of heroes that already exist in other games. I was like, alright, well, this guy very much handles like this one. Wonder Woman plays a lot like Leona from League of Legends, for instance. Joker plays a lot like Shaco. And I guess that they're maybe even they're relying on that familiarity. I mean, that is a possibility. I'm not going to say that it's not. It may very well be that that's exactly what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, I don't think... Oh, God damn it. Hate fighting Cyborg. For some reason, he just doesn't die. Anyway, I think that maybe they're relying on that, but for me, I need to see something a little bit different because there's already a lot of very well-established Dota-style games that play extremely well and have great competitive scenes, a lot of depth, a big learning curve, lots of different things to discover in different modes. I know this is a very limited beta, but even if you put 5 different modes into this game, you can't really escape the reality that you still have League of Legends style, no last-hitting, skill shot-based, 4 active heroes with a passive. And then you have the item system from Smite, which is good in some respects because it's fairly easy to learn, but it's bad in other respects because it just doesn't have any depth to it. That's probably one of the biggest problems I've actually got with Smite. It's not a big enough problem to stop me from playing it, and there are positive aspects to it. There's no real question about that. But I certainly think that they could do an awful lot more. I don't actually have anything left, do I? I'm going to get horribly murdered. Everyone's jumped on me. Oh, God. I've got to say, I really, really hate, absolutely hate playing any character that is not super tough in this game, because you do feel like you will be absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed in every respect. Play something like Wonder Woman, play Shazam, and suddenly, hey, everything's absolutely fine. You can take plenty of hits, but play something like Gaslight Batman or Joker, you die horribly. Obviously, it's deliberate balancing, but I'm not entirely sure that it works. Mostly because once you've really exhausted your attacks, then you don't really have a lot you can do. Even a lot of the escapes aren't really all that reliable. I've noticed there's actually not a lot of stuns in this game. There's some slows, but not a huge number of stuns, which is an interesting choice. I have to imagine that's probably deliberate. Like, come on, you're not going to tell me he can actually kill me. This has actually been one of the worst games I've ever played. I'm like 1 for 6. 0 for 6. Wow, even better. Great. At least everyone else is also doing terribly, aside from Cyborg. Cyborg on both teams is the only one that's actually got any real kills. Cyborg is very, very good, don't get me wrong. He can kite really well, he's surprisingly strong, and he's also got a lot of nuking ability, so he seems to be pretty good at almost everything. Anyway, I suppose the current situation with this is that it's going to have to be a wait and see for me to see whether or not they're actually able to put anything interesting into it. Right now, this is not enough to take me away from existing League of Legends Dota-style games. It just isn't. I mean, why would it be? At the end of the day. Why am I fighting under a tower? I'm so stupid. Oh! I'm bad. I'm super bad. Should have played a tough character. It's got to do more. It's solid, but, like, so mediocre in every respect right now. We'll see what it can do. I think that it does have some potential, but I'm just afraid that the mechanics are so ingrained into the game that there really is no changing it to the point where it would actually be interesting to me. I would at least, like, League of Legends and Dota are different games. This and League of Legends Dominion are not really different games. Frankly, they're not. And even Guardians of Middle-earth was a different game, because of course it was designed for consoles, but it is very, very strange to play a game like this and just to feel everything's kind of instantly familiar. Before I go, I would like to show you the preferences, because this game will be over fairly shortly. You can turn auto attacks on or off, as well as self-casting. There are 2 modes of smart casting, which I really should learn to use, and you can lock your camera to your hero or not. You can't rebind the keys yet for some reason, which is actually bonkers. They definitely need to sort that out. It's like, everyone loves Q, W, E, and R. It'll be absolutely fine. No, they don't necessarily. No, they're not. God damn it! Die so fast. Alright, folks, that'll be me done. So, that's a quick look at the forthcoming title Infinite Crisis, which is coming out towards the end of the year, I believe. Still very much in closed beta. They very much have an awful lot to show. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching. I could see you next time.